$122 million. That's how much money the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, has been able to claw back from just 100 millionaires who had been skirting their obligation in paying taxes to the federal government. And by the way, the IRS is just getting started. So thanks to the additional IRS funding that was provided as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRS has the resources necessary to go after the bigwigs rather than just the hardworking, lower class individuals who typically get audited if they make a mistake on their taxes. It's far more expensive to audit wealthy people. Their taxes tend to be a lot more complicated, requiring more resources to do these audits. And now that they have those resources, they're actually doing the audits and they're clawing back some of that money. So let's get to some of the individuals who dodged their taxes and what they did with that money. Because I was led to believe that if businesses and if individuals paid less in taxes, they would then take that money and they'd create jobs. They would trickle that wealth on all the rest of us. Turns out that's not what was happening. In one case, according to Insider, which covered this story, a former CEO was sentenced to a year in prison and ordered to pay over $15 million because he was deducting personal expenses as business expenses and using that to finance his construction of a 51,000 square foot mansion. I mean, you would need to hire a staff to maintain that mansion. So maybe he is a job creator, Cenk.
Yeah, remember what Kevin McCarthy promised. It was the only thing he promised if the Republicans won the House. He said, we're gonna get rid of the IRS agents who are looking into fraud by rich people. We're gonna get rid of them because we don't wanna look into fraud. We want the rich people to do as much fraud as humanly possible. That was his one promise. And by the way, the first thing he proposed. You see all this maelstrom of chaos in the Republican Party, and they're not proposing anything. But they did propose one thing, and it was to get rid of IRS agents that would crack down on this kind of fraud. Because these criminals that we're telling you about here, that are robbing you blind, are McCarthy's donors. Those are Republican politicians' best friends. Now this is a giant, now you see me blaming Republican voters all the time depending on the context. This one is not on the Republican voters. They don't want to be robbed either. And I've seen the polling, and they want the rich to be taxed more, not less. Okay, but the Republican politicians say to their voters, we don't give a damn what you think. We work for the rich, we serve the rich, we're paid by the rich. So every Republican politician on a national level loves the story of fraud, and because they think, oh, I'm gonna get a piece of that. They're gonna use a piece of that to bribe me. That's who the goddamn Republican politicians are.
Let's go back to that former CEO that I told you about, the one who was working on that 51,000 square foot mansion. Well, some of those expenses he claimed, meaning he used these expenses as deductions in his taxes, which you're not supposed to do. So some of those expenses he claimed included an outdoor pool, pool house, and tennis, basketball, and bocce courts, alongside falsifying millions for luxury vehicles, artwork, country club memberships, and homes for his children.
Because of course, why not? So guys, look, the Republicans will then pretend, oh, we're just trying to protect the average taxpayer. Now, guys, maybe you fudged a stapler that you bought for your home, but you meant it, but you said it was for your office. No one cares about that, okay? Like, this is not around the edges. This is not, hey, bothering the average guy. This is about a guy claiming a 51,000 square foot mansion is somehow a business expense. This is cheating on a massive scale. It's meant to rob you so that you don't get, like, you have to pay more in taxes to make up for this son of a bitch.
In another case, someone received over $5 million in COVID relief loans for a sham business, and then used that money to buy Ferrari, Bentley, and Lamborghini cars. The IRS is specifically taking aim at Americans who earn over $1 million and have over $250,000 in tax debt. An IRS memo showed that nearly 1,000 taxpayers making over $1 million annually did not file their taxes multiple times between 2015 to 2020. That group of taxpayers, of whom 58 earn at least $10 million, were estimated by the IRS to owe over $34 billion as of May of 2023. So that is why the resources and the money appropriated for the IRS is so incredibly important. Because they have been going after ordinary Americans who, yes, in some cases are doing the wrong thing and they're not paying the taxes they're supposed to pay. They're fudging the numbers or they're committing fraud. But the actual people who were doing the most damage in dodging their taxes had been let go. They've been let off because they didn't have the resources to do the audits. Now they do, and they're showing the results. And I'm really happy to see that. There's a little bit of good news in this just torrent of endless negative news. So something positive to share.
Well, one more positive, one more negative. So first off, credit where credit is due. Biden administration and the Democrats in Congress actually got this as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. They passed adding a lot more auditors that target the rich, including some of their donors. So huge credit to the Democrats for that. So I know you don't get to say it every day, but today you do, and so that's great. Okay, credit where credit is due. So now to one more thing about the bad guys, which also includes some of the Democrats, which is, you remember all the talk of like, oh, we can't have the child tax credit and we can't have food stamps going to people who are cheating. They're a bunch of cheats taking money that they don't deserve. They should be forced to do work requirements, this requirement, that requirement, because that guy making $17,000 in West Virginia, he's a cheater. And the leader of that chorus was Joe Manchin, but joined by every Republican. But when they cheat for a Ferrari, a Bentley, and a Lamborghini, all of a sudden Joe Manchin and the Republicans are not at all concerned. Corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans are like, no, don't touch the Bentley. Don't touch the Bentley. Don't worry about them cheating. They cheated to the tune of those 58 guys, to the tune of $34 billion. And Manchin and the corporate liars, both on the Democrat and Republican side, but in this case, again, way more Republicans, saying, we don't care about the $34 billion. Oh, but you're making $9,000 a year? We're gonna crush you. You're a cheater. You're a bad person. You're immoral. They say that all the time to the average American and often to the working poor. But when it comes to their beloved rich, they let them get away with murder, because that's who these politicians are. And that's what we're asking the other media to do. Be honest for a second. Don't pretend these are decent, honorable people. These are people who serve their donors. But again, irony here is this one time the Democrats did a great job in passing this bill.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.